is a two-parter. Black voters, particularly in Philadelphia, have been speaking out about Kamala Harris, and it was not good. I'm just going to prepare you for that. It was not. Alex Wagner went on that journey, and even the look on her face was quite astonishing. But I want to show you some of the responses that Kamala Harris made at the CNN town hall last night, and then maybe you'll understand why you're going to hear the responses that you hear from Black voters in Philly. So can we do that? Let's start with some of the responses that she made during the town hall so you can see where they're coming from. Here's one here about the grocery store prices. So this gentleman is going to ask her about the grocery store prices. Listen to this.
Grocery prices have gone up quite a bit in the last 4 years. Yeah. And some people blame former President Trump. Some people blame President Biden. Who would you say is correct? And what would you do to bring prices down for Americans?
Thank you.
The question is, who is to blame?
Eric, and you're absolutely right. You know it. I know it. I think most Americans know it. Price of groceries is still too high. And we need to address it in a number of ways. One of my aspects of doing what we need to do to bring down the cost of living for working people and the middle class in America is to address the issue of grocery prices. Part of my background and how I come to it is probably a new approach grounded in a lot of my experiences as a former attorney general, where I took on price gouging. And part of my plan is to create a new approach that is the first time that we will have a national ban on price gouging.
Grocery prices have gone up quite a bit in the last 4 years. Yeah. And some people blame former President Trump.
Okay. So she got into the response there about price gouging, right? So she's putting the blame on the corporations. Now, what was interesting is after this response, I want to bring this in here too, because Anderson Cooper, I guess in a way, he's trying to help her a little bit, not go into word salad responses, but he follows up after that response that Kamala gave to that gentleman there. And again, the question was, who's to blame? Now, she didn't pick Trump or Biden to blame for that, right? And I said, if it were me that was on that stage, and if I'm going against Donald Trump, well, first of all, this wouldn't have happened under my administration. Let's just say that weird. If I was president, this whole the grocery store prices, oh no, because the moment that would have started, you can do exactly what Richard Nixon did, and you could have stopped the price gouging right then and there. Now, some people are going to say, well, that led to inflation, but the reality is you got to do something somewhere, right? So that wouldn't happen. But if I were standing in that spot and I'm running against Donald Trump, you know what I would have done? I would have pointed it back to what happened right before we came into office. I would have pointed back to what happened during the pandemic, 2020, the pandemic, the lockdowns, people losing the jobs, yada, yada, all that kind of stuff. I would have brought it back to that and talked about, well, remember, things were higher then too. And then we came into office and then there was transition and yada, yada. I would think of ways to move around it instead of just, yeah, the corporations are increasing the prices and, you know, we got to reduce the prices or something like that. You know what I mean? So Anderson Cooper comes in, and I think in a way, it almost seemed like he was trying to get her to answer the question.
Let me just ask you about price gouging. I looked at your plan. You talk about going after price gougers, and I'm quoting from the plan, on essential goods during emergencies or times of crisis. I get that. How does that help, though, someone like Eric with prices that for years, the grocery prices just been high?
Now, did everybody hear that? That's important because Anderson Cooper explains the details of that plan, which she does not mention, that this applies to emergency situations and essential items, whatever that's supposed to be. We don't know what the essential items are. So do you see how this is an important piece of that plan that Kamala Harris has about the grocery prices that needs to be said to the American people, but is not said? Emergency situations, which could be another pandemic or maybe a environmental disaster. We don't know what they would consider to be an emergency. And then it goes into certain essential items. Now listen to this.
Well, first of all, Anderson, as you know, and obviously CNN has been covering extensively what has been happening in the state of Georgia, North Carolina, Florida. It's a real issue. I was Attorney General of California. I was the top law enforcement officer of the biggest state in the country. I took this issue on because it affects a lot of people. And I'm not going to apologize for the fact that we need to actually deal with accountability when these, not all, in fact, most don't, but when companies are taking advantage of the desperation and the need of the American people. We saw it actually during the pandemic as well, where because of supply chain issues, there was a reduction of supply, and then they would inflate the price of everyday necessities. Not to mention, by the way, again, Donald Trump.
Right, but what are the essential items that you're talking? What are the essential items? Like
Trump should be here tonight to talk with you and answer your questions. He's not. He refused to come.
So this part right here, this doesn't work for candidates. It didn't work for the GOP candidates that ran against Donald Trump during the GOP primaries when they said, you see who's here and you see who's not. Donald Trump's not here. Donald Trump's not here. Yeah, everybody know that. But you're there. You're on the stage. You're supposed to convince people why you are the better candidate and why they should support you. That framing didn't work for Chris Christie, didn't work for Nikki Haley, didn't work for Vivek Ramaswamy. And now you see what's happened there, right? Vivek and Nikki Haley, or what are they doing? They're helping Donald Trump's campaign. So it almost kind of seemed like to me when she made that statement that she was basically trying to not too happy about the pushback that she was getting around that question, and brings to your attention, well, you know, Donald Trump isn't here, as if you should be pushing him on that instead of pushing her on that. But the reality is we know he's not there, but you are there. So you should be able to explain your plan. Anderson Cooper shouldn't have to follow up and say it applies to emergency situations and essential items. Like, I don't, you know, guys, let me finish. I'll tell you what I think.
But understand that part of his plan is to put in place a national sales tax of at least 20% on everyday goods and necessities. And that, by economist estimates, independent economists, would cost you as the American consumer and taxpayer an additional $4,000 a year.
So I think, again, what she's referring to there are the tariffs that he was referring to. And I don't know, man. We're going to go to the next one, because I'm just telling you, this whole thing with her, like, bro, she's not ready for this. And you're going to see that in this next clip here. And this is where we get into the Gaza question. Listen to this.
The question is, as president, what would you do to ensure not another Palestinian dies due to bombs being funded by U.S. tax dollars?
So,
pause. Everybody see what's happening? Notice how she started to touch her forehead again? She did that same thing in the interview that she had with Al Sharpton. Every time this topic comes up, you can tell Kamala Harris gets a little bit nervous. See, watch it again.
The question is, as president, what would you do to ensure not another Palestinian dies due to bombs being funded by U.S. tax dollars?
See, there it is. That right there. That's how you can tell this is a nervous topic for her, right?
So I will say, and I think this is to your point, far too many innocent Palestinian civilians have been killed. It's unconscionable. And we are now at a place where, with Sinwar's death, I do believe we have an opportunity to end this war, bring the hostages home, bring relief to the Palestinian people, and work toward a two-state solution where Israel and the Palestinians in equal measure have security, where the Palestinian people have dignity, self-determination, and the safety that they so rightly deserve.
But here's the problem, Kamala, and he's going to do a follow-up question to that. Here's the problem. You are currently in office right now. You're a part of the Biden-Harris administration. It's not like this is Gavin Newsom that's standing up there. this is Kamala. And actually, they probably would have been better off going with someone like Gavin Newsom because he wouldn't be connected to the administration. But you are a part of the current administration. So that's the thing. And you made it very clear to everyone on The View that you were involved in the decision making. And we've seen you post pictures on social media where you're in those boardroom meetings with Antony Blinken and Biden about Israel and Gaza. So this could be all of this could be done now. Like, I want to be very clear. If Kamala Harris wins, her presidency doesn't start this year. It starts next year. So what happens in Gaza from now until then? Food hasn't entered Gaza since October 1st. Israel, once again, is starving people, starving them. So we have a follow-up to that from Anderson Cooper. Once again, I think in a way he was trying to help her out, but I don't know, man.
What do you say to voters who are thinking about supporting a third-party candidate or staying on the couch, not voting at all because of this issue?
Listen, I am not going to deny the strong feelings that people have. I don't know that anyone who has seen the images who would not have strong feelings about what has happened, much less those who have relatives who have died and been killed. And I know people and have talked with people. So I appreciate that. But I also do know that for many people who care about this issue, they also care about bringing down the price of groceries. They also care about our democracy and not having a president of the United States who admires dictators and is a fascist. They also care about the fact that we need practical, common sense solutions from a leader who is willing to work across the aisle on behalf of the American people and not themselves. They want a president who cares about a fundamental freedom to make decisions about your own body, understanding that we're not trying to change anyone's belief, but let's not have the government telling women what to do with their body.
That was not a good response. That was a bad look for Kamala. And I know sometimes people think I'm too hard on Kamala, but that was bad because essentially what she was telling you is that it almost feels like blackmail. Hey, if you want reproductive freedom and grocery prices, well, you just got to settle with this genocide. If you want the grocery prices to decrease, if you want reproductive freedom, well, you're just going to have to deal with the fact that there's going to be a genocide that's happening, period. You're just going to have to deal with the fact that we're going to keep giving Israel weapons to kill kids. I don't know what the hell she was thinking when she gave that response, but that was bad. Two, when someone brings up an issue that is very important to them, remember, some people are one issue voters. Some people vote only about abortion. Some people might be for, obviously, it's going to be Gaza for some people. And for you to bring up other issues, it's like if I come to you and I say, Kamala, how about your policy? How do you feel about reparations? Like, this issue is very important to me. I would like to talk about, your plan for this, your plan for that. And I'm bringing up that, and you start bringing up all these other issues. That was a bad look. Grocery prices, reproductive health, these things are not the same as a genocide. Like, that felt like blackmail to me. No, that's what it felt like to me. She has to know that was bad. Like, guys, no, she's not ready. She's not ready. This is bad. This is so bad. And then there's more. So I think we have one more from that. And then we're going to get to the Black voters and what they had to say. Because I can't. So then there's immigration. And this is where she really gives the game away.
Under Donald Trump, you criticized the wall more than 50 times. You called it stupid, useless, and a medieval vanity project. Is a border wall stupid?
Well, let's talk about Donald Trump and that border wall. So remember, Donald Trump said Mexico would pay for it? Come on, they didn't. How much of that wall did he build? I think the last number I saw was about 2%. And then when it came time for him to do a photo op, you know where he did it? in the part of the wall that President Obama built.
But you're agreeing to a
come
bill
on.
that would earmark $650 million to continue building that wall.
I pledge that I am going to bring forward that bipartisan bill to further strengthen and secure our border. Yes, I am. And I'm going to work across the aisle to pass a comprehensive bill that deals with a broken immigration system. I think Jackson's question, part of it was to acknowledge that America has always had migration, but there needs to be a legal process for it.
Did everybody notice that she slipped in that part there about Obama building part of a wall? It's kind of like, you know. So for everyone that hated the idea of a wall under Trump, do they also hate? Where was that same anger towards Obama? See the problem with the two-party. This is the problem with the two-party system. You're more likely to defend the person that's in your party. Oh boy.
People have to earn it. And that's the point that I think is the most important point that can be made, which is we need a president who is grounded in common sense and practical outcomes. Like, let's just fix this thing. Let's just fix it. Why is there any ideological perspective on this? Let's just fix the problem.
To fix the problem, you're doing this compromise bill. It does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I am not afraid of good ideas where they occurred.
So you don't think it's stupid anymore?
I think what he did and how he did it did not make much sense because he actually didn't do much of anything.
Oh, so Anderson Cooper got Kamala Harris to admit that she doesn't think the wall is stupid.
I just talked about that wall, right? We just talked about it. He didn't actually do much of anything.
But you do want to build some wall.
I want to strengthen our border.
And if you think it's just me, I thought maybe it was just me, but then I saw the commentary on CNN, like from other commentators, like even they admit it was not good. It was not good for her.
Well, listen, Kamala Harris participated in a one-person debate last night, and she lost. Okay, she was asked direct questions, and she provided very circular answers. My colleagues Van Jones and David Axelrod and others noted that she provided word salad answers. And Anderson would ask her specifically direct questions, and she didn't provide an answer to them. When asked, Anderson asked the best question all night: "Why didn't you do this 4 years ago? Why haven't you been doing this?" 10-minute answer, didn't answer the question. So what she did last night, I don't think helped her cause at all. I think people were looking for, how are you going to, you heard the one woman, how are you going to make my life better? That wasn't provided. Donald Trump bad is not going to get you to the White House. I hate to break it to her. Listen, Kamala Harris participated in a one-person.
Guys, I have to tell you, this is not good. And listen, people, you guys can take this however you want to take it, but on this show, I like to be real, so I'm just going to be real with you. It's not good for Kamala Harris. You guys see the sign behind me says Kamala is struggling. So I put a different message on the chalkboard every live stream. So this is why we got this message. You know why it's really bad? Because it's very clear that she's not ready for this. She's not. And you know what's messed up is, like, as much as corporate media and dim leadership is saying she could be the first Black woman, and we went over the whole Black woman thing, but she could be the first let's say first woman of color president or whatever. Like, it's a bad look. She's not ready. And I would say this to my friend. Like, if my friend came to me and said, "Hey, I'm going to do da da da," and I felt like they weren't ready, I would say, "You're not ready." She's not. And Black voters, I already saw the Black voter registration numbers for Georgia earlier today. It's behind. It's behind where Biden was at this point in 2020. And that's probably the best it's going to get. It's October 24. So and these Black voters here in Philly, they're supporting Donald Trump. Now, again, for the liberals that like to come troll me sometimes. I'm not supporting Donald Trump. I'm voting for Jill Stein. I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. But these voters here are not supporting Kamala Harris, and they have some things to say about her.
Over the weekend, I attended a meeting of the self-described Black Republican Club of Philadelphia and asked that group of Trump supporters what they expect to happen.
I believe Trump is going to win because, first off, when people say bad things about him, where does that affect us down here? That doesn't affect our neighborhoods. It has never affected our neighborhoods. We don't even get to see half the things that go on that level.
We know that he's going to win because he is the best for America. He's worried about our economy.
The crime is high. Yes. The violence is high. The schools are bad. We can go on and on. Where Democrats have been in charge for 40 years.
We're voting for Donald Trump unequivocally. Period. No one else is going to persuade us. We 2 weeks out, and we won't sleep until November the 6th.
So you
know who you're voting for?
Yes, I'm voting for Trump, definitely.
Tell me why.
He's more strong-minded in a way. He's focused on what we got to focus on. Like, he doesn't play. That's what I respect about him.
He doesn't play?
Yeah, he doesn't play. He always just stands for what he believes, and he doesn't go back. No matter how many people are bashing him, no matter people is criticizing him, nothing.
He doesn't take BS.
So do you guys notice something? As much as people are shaming Black men, it's not just Black men, it's Black women too.
Yes. He's not going to hear it.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, by the way. I'm just saying it's Black people. We are waking up. We are waking up. This whole idea of the Democratic Party having a hold on us, like, don't get me wrong, the Democratic Party is still going to get the majority of the Black vote, but the numbers have been decreasing every election cycle. Everyone. Since Barack Obama, the numbers have decreased every election cycle. It's a new day.
He's a businessman. He's not there for the fluff talk of politics. We need someone strong. We need someone who's going to get down to business and take care of what this country needs, but also understands what the community needs.
The thing is, we were scared in the beginning because he said he's going to nuke Korea and he's going to nuke Iran, but he didn't do that. The stock market went up. There were more.
Pretty high right now too.
Well, but the thing is, because there was no inflation back then. Democrats take granted, especially minorities. They take for granted because they think Republicans are so out of touch with the minorities' needs, so they don't have any choice. And I think that's going to be a big surprise.
You got pockets there's an energy for Mr. Trump in the city, but a lot of people just walking down the street, they not feeling the Democrats from time to time. Not sure if they're going to vote for Trump.
Yeah.
He may not vote at all. You Black men that don't vote for Democrats, it's not what Mr. Trump did. It's what have you been disappointed with. I'm not.
Pause here for a second. Just to let everybody know, she is having difficulty in Philadelphia. Joe Biden, I guess, did not face this issue the way that she did because it is his home state. But in Philadelphia, which has large Black population, she is struggling in Philadelphia. I've been reading quite a bit about it. And we know there's the rural counties in Pennsylvania, too, that are typically voting for Donald Trump. You should be able to get Philly. So for her to be struggling there, that's a sign.
A dedicated Republican. I'm voting for the lesser two evils this time, being Mr. Donald Trump.
I also asked those voters about Vice President Harris and how they view her candidacy. What are your feelings, and let me start with the women here, about Kamala Harris?
She's a woman of color. I'm not putting her down because of that, and I'm not putting her down because she's a woman. I'm not a feminist, so I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, I don't think that she has the personality. I don't think that she has what it takes to go up against Putin and go up against these other presidents that are built for this. I don't want to be scared because my president is scared. I want my president to feel secure and manly and about it.
We brought up gender, right? Like, do you think it matters that she's a woman and people aren't comfortable having a woman in a top leadership role?
No, I don't think that, because most men, they love their mothers.
So did you guys see the look on Alex Wagner's face when she brought up the gender? See the look on her face here? She's shocked. She's shocked because the thing is, the propaganda that's been coming from liberal media for years is that if you're not supporting this female candidate, you're a misogynist. You don't like them because they're female, not because they're just not a good candidate. I heard this during 2016 when Hillary Clinton was running. And this is the reality. I'm choosing not to vote for Kamala Harris, but it has nothing to do with her gender because I'm voting for Jill Stein. You see what I mean? Like, it just, you can't come to me and say I'm being misogynist. You can't come to me and say, oh, you're racist towards this woman. What are you talking about? I'm a black woman. I'm a real black woman. I'm sorry, stop. What do you mean? So you can't say this to me. It's her. You guys saw it earlier in the earlier videos. You saw it on the CNN town hall. She's not ready. And it's embarrassing. And I'm sorry, but I call it like I see it. Now, did I say Hillary Clinton wasn't ready when she was running? No, Hillary was ready. I think Hillary had the experience, but she was also a terrible candidate. She was just a neocon warmonger. And then she chose Tim Kaine, who was against a woman's right to choose. So if I had a choice between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, who do you think I would have went with Bernie? So to me, it's just, this is what they needed to hear. And Alex needed to hear this to her face.
Mothers, they love their wives. So as a woman, most men, they respect the woman, but she just don't have the qualification or the education to really run America because she don't have the experience. She don't understand our struggles. And for me to believe you for another 4 years, you're crazy. Right. Like, you're crazy. You're saying the same thing that you said 4 years ago.
See, that's another thing. She's already there. She's already in the administration.
The fact that she's the vice president,
That's
to
just
you,
the
is
bottom line.
You're like, you've been here, you've had a chance.
Yes. Well, for me, the very first time I ever heard the name Kamala Harris, it was in association to locking up parents for truancy. That was the first time I ever heard of her name. And I really didn't understand how this person claims to be a black woman, but yet she's locking up black women and black men and separating families.
This is the thing that is, Trump talks about this a lot. He says, Kamala Harris became black when it was convenient.
Right. Yep.
Can you talk to me about, do you agree with him on that? Do you feel like she's wearing her blackness?
Absolutely. When she sworn into the Senate, it was as the first Indian American.
Thank you.
Which is it's fine. We don't care.
We all know she's not black. Let's understand that. We are all clear of that. But my point of view is, like I told you earlier, she's already been there. She's in office right now.
Now, to be clear, the voters I spoke with here are not representative of black voters in Philadelphia on whole. Black voters are expected to support Kamala Harris by wide margins this election. The question is, how many voters from this blue county can Donald Trump pick off?
So that is very telling, ladies and gentlemen. And Alex Wagner needed to hear that. Needed to hear it. You heard what the woman said. She said, we all know she's not black. So Kamala Harris is struggling. And you're going to see something else here in Pennsylvania. So we heard black voters in Pennsylvania. Now you're going to hear from white voters in Pennsylvania. This county right here, Bucks County, things have changed. Listen.
It's traditionally been a purple county, but it's getting redder. In Doylestown Township, we flipped Doylestown Township red in June. So it now has more Republicans registered than Democrats. We're seeing the reddening happen here. I personally helped 25 Democrats change their registrations to Republicans and 75 independents change it to Republicans. And it's all the same. They're all singing from the same song sheet. They're sick of the high prices. They can't afford groceries. They can't feed their kids. They're looking at how tough of a time they're having, and then how easy of a time illegal immigrants are and the monies that and resources going to them, but not to their families who've been paying into this system their entire lives. They're seeing that Democrats care more about, but people who might be able to vote for them in the future than their constituents who are in pain right now.
I've never been to Bucks County, but that doesn't sound, it doesn't sound good for Kamala. I believe Trump won that county in, I want to say 2016, maybe in I'm not sure about 2020, maybe in 2020. But you can't sleep on those rural counties. Now, for the people who will come to me and they'll say, well, Donald Trump's a criminal, he's a felon, which, by the way, I've said over and over again, the whole felon rhetoric, that don't go over too well with some black people, by the way. So I don't know why Democrats are choosing to go with that. If they think that's like kind of comes across as a classist thing. But if there's all those issues with Donald Trump that they continue to mention, then why, and we got to go to this. Why is it that it's this close? Sure, Michael brings this up. Sure, Michael is a guest host for CNN. Listen to this.
One thing I wish Vice President Harris would answer is if Trump is a threat to democracy, as she stated, if he demeans the office, as she stated, if he doesn't belong anywhere near the White House again. Another thing she stated, why is this race tied? Why does it appear that the former president could potentially win states like Pennsylvania, Georgia, North Carolina, permitting him to return back to the White House? If all of those things are
Eric, did you turn up the sound to this?
true, why isn't that message
Sometimes the TikTok
resonating?
videos. Sorry. Let me try it from the beginning.
One thing I wish Vice President Harris would answer.
Okay. I can't hear anything. I'll let Eric handle this. Sorry, guys. I can't hear this video either. Eric, are you here? Hold on. I don't know why TikTok videos are weird. Like sometimes it won't let me. Oh, balls. Hold on. Boost does not work on TikTok. Let me see if I can find it on his Twitter page, because I think that's where I saw this. Yeah, the volume for some reason, guys, on these TikTok videos, I don't know why, it's so low. Like it's not low when I play it on my phone, but it is low when I bring it up. Let me see if I can find it here. It's the only thing about the TikTok stuff. Balls. Now I don't know if I'll be able to find it. Oh no. Dang, I'm sorry, guys. Oh wait, I found it. Okay, I found it here on Twitter. Now let's see what happens if I play it on the Twitter link. Maybe that might make a difference. Sure, Michael, in the future, you're going to have to post the video separately on Twitter. And then, yeah, someone even put that here. They refused to download it. Let me see. Oh, it's going to take me back here. No. Balls. It's probably going to be low again. And it's not even playing now. What happened?
One thing I wish Vice President Harris would answer is if Trump is a threat to democracy, as she stated, if he demeans the office, as she stated, if he doesn't belong anywhere near the White House again. Another thing she stated, why is this race tied? Why does it appear that the former president could potentially win?
Okay. So it's really low and I'm sorry. But what he's saying is if, all the things that Kamala is saying about Donald Trump, being a criminal and all this kind of stuff, why is this race tied? Why does it appear that he has the chance to win Pennsylvania, Georgia, North Carolina? Why is it doing that way? You know what I mean? So that's a really good question. Why is that? So that says, less about Donald Trump and more about Kamala Harris being a weak candidate. I feel like she's running a 2016 camp. I feel like this is 2016 Hillary Clinton campaign all over again. I really do. And Hillary Clinton said she was trying to advise Kamala with her campaign. Great, right? Like we really need to listen to a loser. So there's that. But also, I just think that's a bad idea. It's so the Liz Cheney thing, the Dick Cheney thing, it's bad. It's bad. I'm going to tell you guys, if Kamala Harris loses this election, the Democratic Party is not going to be able to live this one down.